911, what's your emergency?
A fire started in our home and it's starting to spread. We had a lot of people over visiting and not all have come out yet.
It's okay, sir. Please, calm down. Can you give me your current location? I can send the rescue squad immediately.
It's one board game way. I left a lot of chemicals lying around the house. I hope they don't explode.
Sir, why on earth would you leave explosive chemicals laying all over your house? You know that is a fire hazard.
I was going to do some experiments, you know? I was going to get around to it eventually. I've only been storing them for 4 years.
This week's review, Flashpoint. In Flashpoint, you and your friends are a group of firefighters attempting to save a house from collapsing from a local fire. You will travel through the board, taking one action for each one of your steps. Each of your characters will then have the ability, or special ability, depending on your character card, to eliminate the fire. You can collect person of interest, which sometimes may turn out not to be a person of interest, and then trying to take them back to the ambulance. The objective of the game is to take your person of interest to the ambulance, and that will all depend on the level of difficulty that you so choose. On a player's turn, you have the ability to move your character around the house. You can have the ability to open, close doors, and to remove fire. And you do this by first turning the fire to smoke, and then removing it from the game. At the end of a player's turn, the board will take its turn. And you do this by rolling a pair of die. Depending on that roll will be where the fire is now spread to. Always remember though too, any smoke adjacent to fire turns to fire. If the number that is rolled is already occupied by a fire token, this causes an explosion. Explosions are highly explosive materials that sometimes Craig likes to leave around the houses. If this so happens, you then cause a chain reaction. Chain reactions then lead to the house taking more damage. Once all of the damage tokens are placed onto the game board, the house then collapses and the game ends. Firefighters have special abilities according to their player cards. Some of these allow them to use the deck gun on the fire truck. Deck gunner! Deck gunner! Some of these special abilities also allow the player to heal person of interest. On a normal movement, when a firefighter collects a person of interest, they must take 2 actions for every space they move with this person of interest. If you're the paramedic, though, you have the ability to heal the person of interest, and then you can move for 1 space per action with the person of interest. The number of actions that you're allowed to take during your turn all depends on your player's role. Some cards or some roles allow you to take 3 actions. Some allow you to take 4, and 1 even allows you to take 5. If on your turn you do not spend all of your actions, you are able to reserve your actions for the next turn. This comes in handy late in game when the building is about to collapse and you rely on those extra actions. Correction, guys. It is not determined on what level of difficulty you play on. It is always 7 POIs need to be rescued in order for the firefighters to win the game.
Hey Jerry, what happened to the orange firefighter?
Alvin, why don't you explain what happened to this orange-eyed firefighter? Guilty as charged.
So everyone, this is Alvin. And he in his puppy days, he liked to eat pieces to board games.
All right, everybody, let's get to the rankings. Craig, what did you think of the artwork?
So the artwork in this game, it's all right. It's not the best. It's not extremely detailed, but it doesn't look bad either. They did go into a lot of different things that they drew, so it does help set the picture. So for that reason, I'm going to give them 7.5.
Yeah, I like the artwork in this game. It's okay, like Craig said. It's not the best, but the details inside the house, all of the furniture, the lamps, how you enter into the room and you kind of see the tile. It's a good. I agree with Craig and I give it a 7. Moving on, let's go to the components.
So for components, long as you don't let your dog eat them, they're fine. They have good detail. Um, and I mean, there just aren't very many components to this, minus the small tokens, which do have a little bit of design on them that we included on the artwork. And they're not very thin and flimsy. They actually are a little sturdy. And then the actual pieces for the wall damage, they're solid, you know? So I'd have to give them an 8. They did a great job with it. What about you?
Yeah, the components are good. I give him a 7. I'm not as giving as Craig. The plastic miniatures, they're great. There's some detail into the miniatures. The firefighters look realistic, but it would have been really cool to actually see some color with them than just the general generic red, yellow, blue, green.
That's fair.
But it's solid. He talked about the marker placings for the building damage or the house damage, and they're just like a die almost, just kind of that hard plastic ceramic type feel. So it's cool. The game's gonna hold unless you let your dog eat the miniatures. Solid 7.
Well, now with thematics, how immersed are you into this? How much do you feel like an actual rescuer trying to help people?
Sure. Yeah, so. I mean, there are parts where I think they did a great job, and you do feel like you're trying to get into the building, you're trying to rescue out the POIs, and by the way, dogs and cats do count as POIs. That is a house rule, and must be abided in all scenarios.
Exactly, because especially with my wife being a vet, you're gonna upset people if you just ignore the animals. So let's go ahead and save them. And as far as the thematics, as the house starts collapsing and burning around you, you have the option to use an axe to go through the wall. I really like that capability, but then you have to be strategic. Is this wall the wall that's gonna bring the house down, literally? And so I feel immersed in the game. I have to give it an 8.
Yeah, I go with you 8 as well. 8 as well. I think revising, rethinking. You do feel like a firefighter going through. You got to think. Is this person of interest more important? I mean, obviously it is, because that's the objective of the game. Or can somebody else on this next turn grab this person of interest, and I need to fight this fire and bring the fire back before it gets out of control. So there's a lot of decision-making process, and getting into just the overall, the game, it's fun. It's immersive. You feel like your team. It's a great cooperative game as always. There's the replayability of it is great. There's a top and a bottom, 2 different houses with 2 different setups. There's 2 different what am I looking for here? Layout.
Yes.
Of the board and of the house. So there's an easy side and a hard side.
And also with that, the game also has advanced rules and more simple rules, which the characters we talked about how some have 3 action points up to 5 action points. That can be ignored. You could play where no one has these special abilities, but everyone has 4 points to help make it simpler, easier to learn that first few times, which is what we did. Granted, we were very excited to move on to the rules, the more advanced rules, and get those character abilities to where sometimes you want to be that character with only 3 action points because their ability is so good, and then there are other times you just want to hoard those extra points, being a generalist. And so that adds a lot to this game to me, that there are 2 boards and 2 sets of difficulty with rules, and it just adds to the strategy. And like you said, sometimes I may not want to help someone because my character's not good at it, but I know your character's up next and you're better, so I'll just take out the fires and hope this person's saved. So that,
there's some strategy to it for sure.
So I'm going to give this game, I think I'm actually going to give it a 9 as an overall. It's very fun, really good setup. Once you learn it, it's not hard to put back together other than figuring out how to roll and set up the fires to start with. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. I enjoy playing this game. If you tell me that, hey, we're playing Flashpoint, be over there in 5. So it's a great game, a lot of fun, it's going to be different every time you play it. Replayability is awesome. So just want to take this time and give a shout out to old Nathan Jones, our one and only deck gunner.
That's a story we'll give for another time. And actually, because of that, we decided to name the little man in our logo. We're going to name him Deck Gunner because of this game, because of Nathan Jones. So shout out to you, bud. With that, I guess we're going to bring this video to a close. So if you did like, please comment and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Have you played this game? Do you like it? Have you never played it before and now you're interested? Just let us know and we'll get back to you in the comments. Have a great one.